In a world where the unknown lurks in the shadows, where myths and legends breathe life into our darkest fears, we find ourselves at the crossroads of reality and the unimaginable. For centuries, cryptids have lived in the margins of our world, half-seen shadows, brief encounters, unexplained horrors whispered around campfires. They have been the ghosts of our wilderness, the nightmares of our ancestors, and the warnings of something lurking just beyond the veil of reality. But in 2024, something unthinkable happened. They disappeared completely. Across the world, reports of legendary creatures, Bigfoot, Mothman, the Chupacabra, the Wendigo, abruptly stopped. Not a decline, not a slow extinction, but a sudden, inexplicable vanishing. But the question remains, why, and what does their absence mean for us? The first reports came from remote areas, places untouched by modern civilization. Experienced hunters and trackers began noticing strange anomalies, trails of footprints that abruptly stopped, as if something had been lifted into the air. Unfinished meals at abandoned campsites. Scattered belongings left behind. Game cameras that once captured blurry figures, now showing nothing but empty wilderness. For decades, cryptozoologists have been ridiculed for chasing myths. But suddenly they were facing a mystery even science couldn't explain. Not just the absence of proof, but the proof of absence. The cryptids were gone. The first reports came from remote areas, places untouched by modern civilization. Experienced hunters and trackers began noticing strange anomalies, trails of footprints that abruptly stopped, as if something had been lifted into the air, unfinished meals at abandoned campsites, game cameras that once captured blurry figures, now showing nothing but empty wilderness. For decades, cryptozoologists have been ridiculed for chasing myths. But suddenly they were facing a mystery even science couldn't explain. Not just the absence of proof, but the proof of absence. The cryptids were gone. Eli Sanders, a seasoned outdoorsman, had been tracking a family of Bigfoots for over a decade. He knew their calls, their nesting sites, even their migration patterns. But in January 2024, his decades of research came to an abrupt halt. Eli Sanders, I heard them every night, for years, those deep guttural calls, then one day just nothing. No calls, no broken branches, not even old footprints, just silence. What disturbed Eli the most wasn't the absence, but the feeling that something had changed, that the forest itself had become hollow. For decades, Point Pleasant was haunted by the legend of the Mothman, a winged, red-eyed entity that appeared before disasters. But by early 2024, something strange happened. Reports of the creature stopped. Completely. Reporter, for as long as I can remember, this town had sightings. Tourists came here because of it. But now, nothing. It's like the town lost a part of itself. Had Mothman simply left? Or was something erasing these creatures from existence? For years, Maria Gonzalez lived in fear of the Chupacabra, the blood-drained livestock, the eerie cries in the night. But in 2024, the horror ended. Not because the monster had been caught, but because it had vanished. Maria Gonzalez, I used to hear them. They were out there watching, hunting, and then they were gone. Just like that. No bodies, no tracks, just gone. And Maria was not alone. Across the globe, cryptids were disappearing. From the Loch Ness Monster to the Jersey Devil, vanishing into legend. But the question remains, why? The wilderness of the Pacific Northwest has long been home to the legend of Bigfoot. But in 2024, the reports stopped. Not gradually, not over time. They stopped overnight, and with them, so did the people who searched for the truth. Darren Carter, you hear that? That ain't a bear. That's something else. This was the last footage of Darren and Luke. Their bodies were never found. Their truck was discovered a week later, doors wide open, the engine still running. As if they had been pulled from reality itself. The official report states that they were lost to the wilderness. But what kind of wilderness leaves no trace? For decades, some theorized that Mothman was not of this world, but rather a warning, a harbinger of disaster. But what if Mothman wasn't warning us about disaster, but about something coming for him? Shortly before the last reported sighting of Mothman, a wave of UFO activity was detected in the skies over West Virginia. Unexplained lights, silent black helicopters, then nothing. Anonymous former Air Force officer. They weren't looking for humans. They were looking for something else. And they found it. Was Mothman taken, or was he running from something even worse? For decades, the Chupacabra left a trail of dead animals drained of blood, but in 2024, the killings didn't just stop. The evidence of the creature itself vanished. Maria Gonzalez, before, we used to find the dead goats. But now, it's like the creature itself was erased. The footprints stopped appearing, the cries in the night silenced. What happened to the Chupacabra? According to leaked government documents, it was hunted down. Was this the proof that cryptids were real? And if so, why were they being eliminated? Anonymous insider? They weren't killing them. They were collecting them. If the government was capturing these creatures, what were they doing with them? According to leaked intelligence, cryptids were not undiscovered species. They were experiments, or worse, prisoners. In a classified facility deep in the Pacific, cryptids were being studied, monitored, and then, one by one, they disappeared. What if these creatures weren't from here? What if they were leaking into our world through some kind of rift, and in 2024, someone, or something, closed that door? The patterns were clear. Anomalies across the globe, electromagnetic disturbances, and then absolute silence, as if someone had reset the balance of reality. Scientist, we were never alone. We were never supposed to see them. They were a mistake, a rupture, and now they're fixing it. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and tell us in the comments, what do you think happened to the cryptids? Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.